What's up, guys? So we are back with another video, and this time I'm trying to solve a problem. My daughter actually like to be around me right now, and it's at that stage where everything I do she wants to copy, and it's really tough for me to get work done on the computer. So I'm gonna try to fix that problem by creating her very own little desk, and we'll see how that turns out. Leah is 1 year old, and I wanted to put things in her desk that I think would be the best to fit her. I knew she liked lights, I knew she liked compartments, and I knew she liked climbing things. I incorporated a drawer at the top just so she can have a place to put some of her belongings and try to teach her organization. I know it's going to be a challenge, but when she feels like it, she will pick up her stuff. Since the chair is pretty heavy, I put it on wheels so she can easily slide it out. And I also incorporated storage within the chair so she can take the lid off and then put some of her stuff in it. I could have put the lid on hinge, but I didn't want it to fall down, hit her in the head, or smash her fingers. For this build, I'm using a sanded plywood, and this is something that I had in my shop already. I normally wouldn't use this to build much of anything, but at the time of purchase, this was the only thing they had in stock that was worth purchasing. I'm not a big fan of it because it splinters a lot. Now, since the plywood is so large, it's really tough to run that through the table saw because you just don't have the control. So after cutting it down on the circular saw, I then took it over to my table saw and sheared it up to the final length. And with all my parts cut down to size, I can now start to glue up. I'm gonna first start by gluing up the top and one of the legs. To hold the two pieces of wood together, I'm gonna use my homemade square, and the purpose of it was just this, to use it to hold two pieces of plywood together. And I do have footage on this, I just haven't gotten around to editing it just yet. I use 1.5 inch brad nails, which would be just enough to hold the plywood in place while the glue dries. And with the first leg done, I can then move on to the second leg. To give the right leg additional support, I'm gonna add a back, which I can then secure the legs to the back and also the top. I added an interior leg so that I can create a bookshelf on one side of the desk. This will be secured along the back side and also on the top. I added the bottom, which provides additional support, which is also held together with glue and nail. If you happen to have some extra clamps, it's probably not a bad idea to throw them on and allow enough time for the glue to dry. I took a look at all the books she had on hand, and I decided to put the smaller books at the top, so I made the smaller space at the top and the larger space at the bottom. I drew out the height on the plywood, then I took my speed square and attached those on the inside and set the plywood on top of that, which allowed me to secure the shelf in place. The more storage you have, the more you'll want to fill it, so I decided to give her one drawer, and that's all she has to work with. Now, the construction on this drawer is completely do-it-yourself. It's really simple, and you'll see how it all comes together. I'm basically just making a box, and then I'm checking to see if the box is square. I shot a few nails in each corner, applied a bead of glue around the perimeter of the frame, then I took the bottom and sat it on top of that. Now, you can clamp this in place, or if you want to speed up the process, you can shoot a few nails in it. And after the glue dried, it's amazing how strong this thing was. And there you have it, DIY drawers. The construction on the chair was also simple. I did the usual, add brad nails and wood glue. And after attaching the two sides, the next thing I had to figure out was how low to make the bottom so I can attach these wheels. Now, it was a good thing I didn't throw these wheels out. I happened to salvage these from a plastic bin we purchased some time ago. Being that this is made of plywood, the only concern I had was the weight. I thought she may run into some trouble moving it around, so I figured adding the wheels would make it a lot easier for her to maneuver. One of the things I had to keep in mind was the position of the plywood. I didn't want the plywood to be too low where you can see the entire wheel, and I didn't want the plywood to be too high where it was irrelevant to have the wheels. I'm now attaching a front to it because I want to box this in so I can create her some storage within the seat. My goal was to make this multifunction so she would have a place to store some of her toys. Now, I could be opening up a box of worms right now with this because I know how she is. She likes to climb inside of everything, whether it's a bucket, a bowl, a package, a box. She will be in here, and I can hear the screams right now because she cannot get out. To finalize the seat area, I'm gonna make an open frame that would then sit inside the opening, which would then support the seat. This will be attached with wood glue and brad nails. My intention was to do both roundovers before assembling the chair, which would have made this process a whole lot easier, but instead I had to do it the hard way. I would like to say lesson learned, but I know I'm going to lose my focus again in future builds. Now this is not a sponsored video, but I do want to take a second to let you guys know that this is an awesome jigsaw. I was looking for a battery powered jigsaw, but it also turned into a reciprocating saw, which fit any standard reciprocating saw blade and jigsaw blades. I'll put a link down in the video description if you guys want to check that out. And look who it is. This is little Leah, and this is who I'm making a desk for. So I'm giving her a quick test run on the desk to see how she likes it, and I think she likes it. And to make this desk toddler friendly, I got to round over every corner on the desk and on the chair. Being that I'm going to paint the desk, I'm going to take one of my viewers up on this tip. This tip was handed to me about a year ago when I made one of my floating shelves. It was suggested that I should use drywall mud to fill in imperfection. Obviously, if you're going to stain it, you'd more likely want to use wood filler. Now, being that it's drywall mud, I don't feel so bad spreading so much because I'm trying to fill in some of the grain in the wood and also filling some of the open edge. What I do like about the drywall mud is that it dries fast and I can keep applying layer and layer on top of it until I get that desired finish. Now, I didn't want to go too crazy with the overall finish because in no time she's gonna outgrow this desk and I'll be making another video creating her another desk. And with the sanding behind me, I can now apply paint. For the paint, I use a high gloss acrylic with built-in primer. And after the first pass through, I allowed the paint to dry and came back with a second coat. I went on to paint the drawer and also the storage built into the seat. For the drawer cover and the chair, I went with an Island Oasis, which could be picked up at your local home center. So one of the biggest reasons why I don't go too color crazy in some of my builds is because you don't want to get too little and then have to buy more, and you don't want to get too much and then have to store it. So this is one of the reasons why I'm a little picky with the colors I normally choose. With all the painting being done, I can now move my focus to attaching the drawer front and also the hardwares. I made my mark and then it's on to installing lights. When I purchased these lights, I was building my platform bed and I didn't know which one I wanted to go with, so I bought a few sets of lights and I never used these, but this seems to be a good option for this situation. They're dimmable lights, they're battery powered, they even come with a remote, and if you lose the remote, you can also just press on the light to turn the light on and off. And one of the best things about these is they're easy to install just by using the adhesive tape that came with these, just peeling it off, sticking it to the light, and attaching it to the location that you want. I'll link these lights in the video description if you'd like to check these out for application that may fit your needs. I didn't have a dust mask to fit her, so I couldn't keep her in the shop while I was working on her desk, but what I could do was bring her in to do all the cleanup. I used a small block of wood as a template to mark the location of the wheels. Next, I pre-drilled the hole, but only half the distance. I wanted to confirm that the depth of it was good and the wheel would stick out just enough. I could also use the wheels to level out the chair if they need to be level, meaning one side could be deeper than the other side. I'm going to use the CNC machine to carve out a little animal that we found on the internet. Now, I won't go into too much depth on this. I'll cover that in a future video, but for now I'm just going to use it for the first time on the channel as a way of doing something cool for my daughter. However, I'll place a link down in the video description so you can check this out, read up on it, and find out more information about CNC machines. CNC machines are pretty new to me, so I'm still amazed by the way these things create and carve things, and also with the accuracy of it. After carving out this cartoon animal, I then sand it down and then I hit it with some white spray paint. I could have made this more interesting by filling in a giraffe with a different color, but I needed to move on from this project and get back to the other project I was working on. Had I thought of it before, I could have incorporated this in the back of the chair. So this ended up being an add-on so the chair didn't look so plain. I filled in the nail holes and I touched up the paint. Here's a look at the end product, and I'll let my daughter take over by seeing her reaction as I give her access to it for the first time.